Okay, my name is Rob. Today we're going to be replacing the single barrel carburetor on my 1968 Chevy C10 pickup. It's a half ton with an inline 6250. Basically, we're going to be taking all of this apart and we're going to be upgrading to a 350 CFM 2-barrel Holly, which is right over here. We have a couple of mounting plates and the new air cleaner. So that's going to be our project for today. So let's get started. A lot of guys probably aren't going to be doing this. This engine is pretty old. This truck's pretty old. A lot of people like the V8, but I stuck with the inline 6. Plus the 250 has a good amount of power. So we can still get a good range of speed without really affecting our gas mileage. So the first thing you're going to do is take the air cleaner off, and then you're going to pop out the recycler for the air. You set most of this stuff off to the side. Next, we're going to take off the fuel line. Now, when you take the fuel line out, there is going to be some fuel in the line, so you're going to want to plug it. Not too complicated. Sometimes these stick, so you might need to use a pair of pliers. Just be careful not to damage the hose unless you're going to be replacing it. Okay, so a little bit of fuel, and we'll just cap that off with a bolt. There we go. Okay, now this is the vacuum advance for the distributor. We're going to take that off next. Now I've rebuilt this carburetor and had it rebuilt a few times, and it's just gotten flat. Carburetors just get old after a while and they do have to be replaced. You should replace them. And this one has been on this car for probably 25-30 years, so it's about time for an upgrade. Next thing we're going to take off is the choke cable, which is right here. I don't actually have my choke hooked up currently. I always had a problem with the return. It always got locked. The spring was always messed up, so I just kind of disconnected the cable. Occasionally, if I needed the choke, I just popped the hood, but most of the time I didn't even need the choke at all. But there's your choke cable running through the firewall. Next thing we're going to take off is the spring back here. This is the return spring for the accelerator. So when you step on the pedal, it pulls that back, which actually activates this actuator back here. I don't know if you can see it or not, but we're just going to be taking that whole assembly out. So the first thing is we're going to take this spring off. Now a lot of these cars, they're kind of jerry-rigged, so there's nothing industry standard when you get to something this old. You're lucky if it is, but usually not. So we have this little spring right here. This can be a little bit tricky. Normally, if you're going to be replacing everything with the original parts, take a lot of pictures, write yourself a lot of notes, do whatever you can to remember how all this goes back together, because otherwise you'll get yourself in some trouble. I'm not going to be putting this stuff back in, so I'm just going to be doing a complete removal. So to me it doesn't really matter. Back here you can see this is just held on by a piece of wire. That was probably done sometime in the late 80s. We're just going to cut that out and remove it. Make sure not to leave any bits of anything inside the engine. There's the connecting arm. Next, back here, there's a cotter pin that comes out. This pin comes out of the manifold, and the assembly is loose. Now, I probably should have taken this screw off in the back here first, but it doesn't really matter because, like I said, it's all coming out and not going back in. So we take that out. Now that's loose. This whole piece comes out. So that's your whole assembly. Lost my 9/16 somewhere in the engine. Okay, next we're going to remove these bolts that mount the carburetor. I would never recommend using a crescent wrench, it's just these are already loose, because I knew I was going to be doing this. Okay, now you carefully lift the carburetor off. There is going to be gas inside the carburetor, you can dump that out, and the gasket. Now, if you're going to be replacing it, be very careful. This one's gotten very, very old, so you can see why we need to take that out. And the last thing, which is really, really crucial, make sure that you plug all of your holes. Doesn't matter if you're going to be away from the car for 5 minutes, 2 minutes, a half hour, any kind of dust, particles, anything gets in there, you're going to be having a bad time. So just out of precaution. Okay, so that's how you take the carburetor out. We'll start on our next video, and we'll start putting the new 350 CFM 2-barrel Holley in.